Unreal. The San Francisco 49ers did it. They went into Philadelphia, defeated the 3-seed Eagles, and are now going to be on their way to part 3 with the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers advancing to the divisional round on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Apologies to those of you live with us on YouTube. Got going a little bit late here. But what a night it is with the San Francisco 49ers. An improbable win with everything they've gone through this season to go into the playoffs on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles and come out with a 23-19 victory. And the San Francisco 49ers advanced to the divisional round, and you get to see the Seahawks for the third time this season coming up next week. We've got plenty of time to talk about those Seattle Seahawks, but what a game this was, Croc, for the San Francisco 49ers. We've got a lot of game balls to give out here. I've got a nice little list of game balls, multiple players deserving in a win like this for the 49ers to go beat a team that on paper should have beat the 49ers, a team that was favored by 5.5 points last I checked against the 49ers before this game started. And none of that matters, Croc, when the 49ers have that little extra something. They've got that special quality. And I think I know what that special quality is. And I'm going to start off by throwing out a game ball to the coaching staff. And pre-game, we talked about this, Croc, as potentially where do the 49ers have the advantages? I think Brock Purdy's better than Jalen Hurts. And I know that Hurts has a ring. Brock Purdy does not. I think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback. Despite 2 interceptions, I think he played better quarterback in this football game. But the big one for me in the end, Croc, was the coaching staff, Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. In fact, Robert Saleh, despite everybody that's missing, all of his linebackers, Eric Kendricks off the street makes the final pass breakup to clinch the game for the 49ers there. Everything he's dealing with, he's got rookies out there making big plays for him on that defense against, guys that are current and former All-Pros, Goddard and Smith and Brown and Lane Johnson and just the entire group of players, Saquon Barkley. I'm just trying to think of all the Pro Bowlers that are on the offensive side of the ball, some banged up, some not. But the Eagles offensive coordinator is going to be fired tomorrow, right? And Robert Saleh is out here advancing to the next round of the playoffs despite all of that. You can have all your all-pros on that side of the ball. We don't need any more all-pros left on our side of the ball. We're still going to go in there and beat you. I think Kyle Shanahan versus Vic Fangio went kind of about as expected. I do have a call-out for Kyle Shanahan here, good and bad in this game. But where the 49ers won the game was their ability to limit the Philadelphia Eagles on offense and keep giving the ball back to Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense.
Man, I want to start off by talking about Robert Saleh. I think he's earned a potential head coaching position just really based off of these last 2 games. I mean, I know 49ers didn't win the Seattle Seahawks game, but he kind of stifled an offense that put up a lot of points, and they only scored 13 against the Niners, right? Able to move the ball up and down the field. And then you turn around and what the 49ers defense did against the Philadelphia Eagles. 49ers are decimated by injuries. I was talking to my bros and my son about the game, and we're watching. I'm like, I don't know who number 49 is. Like, who is that? Like, the 49ers are playing out there with the replacements. There's a movie called The Replacements. That's literally who the 49ers are playing with defensively and a lot offensively as well. And the 49ers just figured out a way. And Robert Saleh, terrific job getting his guys really ready to play. And a thing I like to say to the kids I coach, maximize your ability. Right? Like, we all have a certain amount of ability, but you have to maximize that. And maximizing it doesn't mean that you're going to be this great player or even great team or great defense. But if you can maximize what everybody's capabilities are, it increases your chance of, at the very least, coming away with a W. And that's exactly what the 49ers did today. Shout out to Robert Saleh. Kyle Shanahan, too. Couple clutch play calls in there. But Robert Saleh, because I feel like the defense kept the 49ers in the game. A couple of turnovers, by Philadelphia, by Brock Purdy, a couple interceptions. How many points did the Philadelphia Eagles get off of those 2 interceptions that really set them up in good field position? Was it 3?
They might have got 1 field goal on that second one, right?
Yeah. That's it. So you got 3 points off of 2 interceptions. To me, that's great job by the defense and Robert Saleh.
Play of the game, play call of the game, Kyle Shanahan going to the reverse pass. And Jauan Jennings, who, by the way, has another touchdown pass in a Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, right? Former high school big-time quarterback. He was a quarterback recruit to Tennessee originally, transitioned to wide receiver. What a beautiful throw he made on that reverse pass. A lot of window dressing. You have Sky Moore, first of all, going in motion from left side of the play to the right side of the play. Then they give him the ball back to the left side on a jet sweep. He gives the ball back to Jauan Jennings, who comes around and throws on the move, rolling out a perfect pass to Christian McCaffrey, who makes a really nice catch himself, Willie Mays style, over the shoulder into the end zone for a touchdown. Biggest play of the game, call of the game. Guts on Kyle Shanahan to make that call. And 49ers won in the coaching department. And what a call that was. We got to talk about Kyle for a second in the end of the first half, but let's give Kyle his flowers for the overall game and especially that call right there and how well they executed that play. Because you can call a play, but if they don't execute it, it doesn't matter. A lot had to go right on that play.
Yeah, same passer that there was in the Super Bowl, right? Jauan Jennings throwing the ball, same recipient of the touchdown as well with Christian McCaffrey. So terrific job dialing that up at the moment that he dialed it up in. And I mean, that was a big time play. The 49ers, they're fighting with one arm behind their back right now. You lose George Kittle, and I sent a tweet to my buddies, and I'm like, man, no Brandon Ayuk, no Ricky Pearsall, no George Kittle, no problem, because Kyle Shanahan did a terrific job of saying, you know what, again, maximize the potential of the guys that are on the field. And okay, you got a couple turnovers. We'll figure out a way to fight through that. And I talk a lot about that. Like, you got to figure it out. You won't hear me complain about the 2 interceptions in this game, because at the end of the day, are you going to still, in the midst of that, with everything else that's going on, figure out a way to win the game? And whether it was Kyle Shanahan just hanging in there, whether it was Brock Purdy continuing to fire, even though he had thrown those multiple interceptions. Terrific job. They need a little help. I see the AJ Brown made a big drop. He did that. That helped. That helped.
You know who's going to leave town with Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator? AJ Brown. I think they're both played their last games, or they're both had their last games with the Philadelphia Eagles potentially. And I think a loss like that, one and done in the playoffs, is going to shake some things up over there in Philadelphia. And what does their head coach even do? You're arguing with your guys on the sideline. Your offense stinks. Just make Vic Fangio the head coach.
Yeah. Nah, I'm just in awe of that performance, man. Just figuring out a way to win with all the adversity that the 49ers have to face. I mean, losing George Kittle in the fashion that they lost him and still just hanging in there. Hopefully there's some things that they learned from, right? I'm probably not throwing to Jake Tunges when he has like an all-pro cornerback on him.
Yeah, tough matchup there. It's kind of like, Kaepernick going against Sherman, right? In those big moments, maybe go with the other guy on the other side of the field in some of those moments.
Because you're expecting the tight end to run away from the defensive back.
Yeah.
And that's probably not going to happen in that situation. Not that corner versus that tight end.
Yeah. They're talking about how I was picking against the 49ers pregame. That's why this is so improbable. By the way, if you listen to the NFL Six Pack every day, I actually picked the 49ers to beat the spread. Straight up, I think the line was somewhat correct. The 49ers were supposed to be underdogs. They were underdogs in that game. That's what makes this so awesome. And that's why you play the games, Croc, because you can go beat a team. And Christian McCaffrey talked about it post-game on the field. He's like, well, there's no quit in this football team. And watching how the 49ers played and seeing how all the other games so far in the wild card round have played, the Carolina Panthers, 10.5-point underdogs, nearly knocked off the Los Angeles Rams. All of these games have been really good. All these games have been one-score games. anybody can win any given week. And a lot of these teams have their warts, and a lot of them have a lot of strengths as well. And the 49ers are among them. But the 49ers going on the road, as banged up as they are, should have been underdogs, and they were right to be underdogs. But that doesn't mean you can't go out and win the game if you're an underdog. And I did pick the 49ers to cover and be within 5.5 points, which clearly they were, because they came out ahead by 4 points, 23-19 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Croc, I got a lot more game balls to give out. I'm sure you have some game balls to give out to something we talked about pregame and who needed to step up in this football game. And one man absolutely did for the 49ers against the Eagles. Next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by PrizePicks. This episode is, and many are, brought to you by PrizePicks, because when you want to have fun playing the game, you want to play along with the game, PrizePicks is the way to do it. With PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right, because there's always high pressure matchups every single weekend, especially now in the playoffs. There's elite hoops action almost every night, and the action never slows down. And with PrizePicks, you can stay in control and be in on all of that action, because PrizePicks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less, and you're on your way to potentially cashing in, because all you need to do to get started on PrizePicks is pick 2 players against their player projections on the PrizePicks app. So you want to go more than on Brock Purdy's passing yards, you can do it. You want to go less than on Jalen Hurts, then you can do it. And you might have been smart to absolutely do that with PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. This episode is also brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. If you always know the game, right? So, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. San Francisco 49ers victorious at the Philadelphia Eagles in the Wildcard playoff round, 23-19, heading to the divisional round and going back again. Just saw these guys, the Seattle Seahawks, next week, Croc. Before the game, we talked about how, Christian McCaffrey is going to get a ton of touches. And there are games the 49ers have won this year, and add this one to it, even more extreme, when there's not a lot of room for Christian McCaffrey to run. What was his yards per carry in this game? It felt like a yard. I think he got a couple at the end of the game that made it a little bit bigger. He had a 10-yard run in there, 3.2 yards per carry for Christian McCaffrey in this football game. He made the touchdown catch from Jauan Jennings, but the 49ers needed another player to step up. And that player in this game was wearing number 5, Demarcus Robinson, who had as much impact in this game than he's had all year combined in his first year with the San Francisco 49ers as a free agent acquisition. 6 catches for 111 yards, a big touchdown on the opening drive, and what a huge opening drive that was for the 49ers to go down the field, hit a 61-yarder, and then throw a touchdown pass to Demarcus Robinson. So big-time game ball for Demarcus Robinson, being that guy that we weren't sure who was going to be. Someone had to step up, and it was Robinson in this one, Croc.
I don't know if you saw on Twitter, we're getting tagged, but a lot of people are like, you predicted it. You predicted it. I didn't predict Robinson would have a big game, but we did talk about Robinson. Hey, he can be a guy to step up in that moment and in that spot and play well. He's a savvy veteran. He was more of a deep ball threat, and I think I also kind of alluded to that. Like, hey, you can get the ball downfield to him to kind of stretch and get those safeties to kind of back up a little bit and play a little bit more honest. But a terrific throw by Brock Purdy over the defender, hit Robinson in an area where, hey, I'm over that defender. I can catch the ball and had a chance to run after catch. And this run after catch was terrific. 49ers have been really missing that. There was probably more run after catch on that play. And obviously later in the game, Jauan Jennings had a big run after catch. But that was probably more than the last 3 games combined, on that one throw to Robinson. So that was terrific. That was what the 49ers needed to get going. Obviously, after that, they kind of were a little stagnant. But to get things started and later, when the 49ers had to get going again, what did they do? They threw a few passes to Demarcus Robinson. So he was Mr. Reliable in this game. I know it's not the big name guy, but he did a terrific job of creating separation and catching the passes that were targeted.
There was the 145-yarder to Jauan Jennings, which was a big play, and Kyle Juszczyk showing up with some clutch catches down the stretch as well, Croc.
That's the recipe, right? You talk about all 3 of those plays. Big time run after catch. And the 49ers have desperately been missing that. They've been missing it. Jauan Jennings, I saw somebody earlier in the chat put, re-sign him or give him a new contract. I appreciate him for making that play, but gosh, he struggles to get any type of separation. Like, he's good in the slot. A guy is playing off. They're playing zone. He can catch the ball. He's tough at the catch point and all that. But when guys are just playing straight man against him, watching him try to create separation, like, he has to win at the catch point. And when they're playing good defense, it's a little bit more difficult. I don't think he's a legit safety blanket for quarterback, for Brock Purdy.
Well, look, how about this, Croc? We're going Galaxy Brain. Give him some peanut butter protein shakes. The 49ers need a tight end. And he's nearly utilized as a tight end anyway, right? George Kittle, very unfortunate news in this football game is that he went out with what is most likely, we don't have complete confirmation, but basically, they're never wrong on this. And it's being reported that it's probably a torn Achilles for George Kittle, which means not only is his playoff run over, but this is going to go into next year. This is an 8 to 12 month injury. And if it's a 12-month injury, that means he misses all the regular season next year too. So this is huge for and really unfortunate for one of the best players on the 49ers, a heart and soul player, to lose George Kittle here now and be down even another star player as you go into the next round of the playoffs. Amazing to get through this without another player, but the 49ers keep finding a way. It's really just a bummer for, one of the favorite players that's been around the 49ers since I've been doing this in George Kittle. And so I hope he can get back to where he was. And he was already banged up coming in this game. That 61-yarder for Demarcus Robinson, this is in the first quarter, this is early in the game, and you could see George Kittle playing through pain on that ankle, and he's not running like he normally does to get downfield and try to block on that play. And you could tell he was kind of hurting and playing through something anyway. And then now you throw the Achilles on top of it. Really unfortunate. And the 49ers are going to have to figure out something to do next year. And they're going to have to figure out what to do this year to try to make up for, now another loss of another star player here as they go into the divisional round of the playoffs.
A lot of people in the comments are saying Kyle Pitts. And if anybody's been taking notice with the Atlanta Falcons, I know they weren't a playoff team, but Kyle Pitts, he came on really strong as the season went on, a guy that was probably labeled a bust. If I'm Atlanta, I maybe franchise tag him. But if the 49ers want to get better offensively, I know everybody wants a receiver. Maybe you can draft a guy and hope. I mean, you can't trust Ricky Pearsall to stay healthy, but so you have to do something at the receiver position. But getting a legit tight end like somebody like Kyle Pitts would really help, especially with his pass catching ability. I think that would be really dangerous in Kyle's offense.
Yeah, they're going to have to do some work with pass catchers in the offseason to try to build back up that depth and find some players they can lean on as pass catchers. Dude, Jauan Jennings is a better blocker than Kyle Pitts, and we're talking about tight ends. So he's a different style of player than George Kittle now. So I think you have to have a two-pronged replacement for George Kittle, because you need someone who can block, but you need someone who can be a pass catcher as well. It's hard to find people that can do both. That's why the loss of George Kittle is so big. Offensively, a couple more notes here, and I want to talk a little bit more about the defensive side of the ball, and we got some more game balls here as well. On the note of coaching, one penalty in the entire game for the 49ers. And they had 0 into the fourth quarter. And the one penalty was BS with the roughing the passer, right? So, I mean, again, that points to coaching and how clean of a game the 49ers played to have to try to win and overcome a lot to come out of there with the W. And that was just another aspect of it. Only one sack given up by the 49ers as well. So they were winning in a lot of places.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, right? When you are as handicapped as the 49ers are with all of the injuries, you can't do things to, self-harm your squad. And they did a terrific job. Even though, like you said, the BS roughing the quarterback penalty, I thought, he's dropping down at the very last second, right? That's the tough one, too. When they're doing it right at or around the first down marker, so it's like, I'm coming in because I have to stop him from getting the first down potentially. And then he drops down right at it. And, your momentum, you've probably already committed to hitting him. That's extremely difficult. So outside of that, the 49ers, from a discipline standpoint with penalties, were terrific. I thought there was a fade ball on Renardo Green.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. I was like, I got to ask, what's the technique on almost like just bear hug out of nowhere? You're in phase. You don't have to turn your head.
So typically that's when you do it, right? Depending on the quarterback. If you're playing Aaron Rodgers is a back shoulder thrower. So when you're playing those type of quarterbacks, you kind of want to get chest to chest, get your hands on them, and look through the quarterback so that you can make a play on the back shoulder throw. But a lot of these quarterbacks, especially a guy like Hurts, he's not really dialing up the back shoulder throw. He's just throwing the football. So when you do that, even though you're looking through to try to play the ball and the ball goes in front of you, as the guy's going, it could look like there's a lot of contact there. And that's exactly what it looked like. So if I'm a Philadelphia Eagle fan, I'm probably complaining about a no call there. But I do believe that outside of the roughing the quarterback one, the refs pretty much let the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles play for a majority of this game.
I did see a lot of folks asking if it was that one guy who grew up an Eagles fan that called the roughing the passer. Relatively clean. Didn't love that call, but the 49ers came out nonetheless with the W at the Philadelphia Eagles. More on the defensive side of the ball, except for one issue I have with Kyle Shanahan in this game. It's something that's never going to go away because Kyle is who Kyle is, which is a really great football coach, except for one thing. Next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel. Wildcard round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, got another one on Monday, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets you like the most. These boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too because you get even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling when you apply your profit boosts. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, by the way. Visit FanDuel.com, download the app, grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. What do you think about the end of the first half, Croc? First of all, the field goal, not going for it on 4th and 2. They did get the ball back and had another opportunity. And then the debacle of wasting time. And I don't know if you put that on Brock, if you put it on Kyle Shanahan, but it feels like every time there's a big football game, Kyle Shanahan does something weird where you feel like he just kind of deflates into the locker room at halftime at the end of the first half. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so I remember Rex Ryan being in meetings and talking about how more times than not, teams are going to start a 2-minute drill with a run, draw, or like a draw play or a screen play. Mm-hmm. So the 49ers elected to go with the draw play. They ran the ball, and they felt like they picked up enough yards to where it's like, all right, like let's kind of go a little bit. So that right there tells you they did run the ball, but it was kind of like not very aggressive, not really in attack mode. And now from there, you're already running a lot of time off the clock, and you don't really have. I think they had one timeout heading into that drive. So yeah, I mean that was Kyle again, not being very aggressive. I actually thought that the QB draw and getting the O lineman out in front was a good call because there was no other way to get the ball out of bounds. You had to potentially throw the ball, and everybody was protecting the sideline. So you get the lineman out there, and it gave Brock an opportunity to get out of bounds, but obviously he lost the ball. Would have liked to see him be just maybe a little bit more aggressive. He was aggressive early on the run, where I believe he picked up a first down and put his head down, make sure, hey, I'm going to get this. Let's be a little bit more aggressive right there with getting out of bounds, and you potentially have an opportunity to kick a field goal. The other one, though, the 4th and 2, where they elected to kick a field goal as opposed to going for it, that's just classic Kyle, right? You know, he kind of picks and chooses when he wants to be aggressive, and I bet if the 49ers were up, again, I kind of call him a front runner at times. If they were up and he felt really comfortable, or if he felt like the opponent was bad, he would have went for it. I would like for him to be the same guy all the time, regardless of who they're playing. But, you know, they kicked it, and I thought they might. I think if Philly had 14 instead of 13, 49ers would have went for it. But because it's like, okay, if we kick this field goal, now we're only down a field goal. I believe that's what made them, go end up kicking the field goal. And obviously they lined up to go for it. They ended up calling a timeout, and then they came out with the field goal unit. Clock management was a little weird today. A lot of timeouts with the clock running down.
And it felt like there was one moment where the way that Brock looked back at the sideline, it was like he wasn't getting, when he had to call that last timeout on the final drive of the half, it was like he wasn't getting the play call in time. And then it was just ticking down to 8 seconds before the last play. I love the play call of the Brock Purdy run, but then that one's on Brock where he's got to be more decisive. Like if it's open and cut it up the field, then go, but you got to go somewhere quickly. And he didn't go anywhere quick enough to get out of bounds or make a play. So it was just funky and really awkward at the end of the first half for the 49ers offense. Ended up not mattering.
Yeah, we got a comment here, and Andre says he is the same guy. I don't know why people expect it. You know what? I think you're right. He is the same guy.
It's him.
He is going to be aggressive when he feels like he's playing against a team that's worse than him, and he's going to be passive and very consistent. So why should we expect more? That is a great comment right there.
Let's go to the defensive side of the ball here, Croc, because there's a lot to talk about here and give out some individual game balls. How about the 4th and 1 stop? Upton Stout making the break on the ball for Devontae Smith. Really fun to watch the rookie Stout develop into just a stud nickel for the San Francisco 49ers. I want to give kind of a group game ball to 3 of the rookies that played a big role in this football game. Stout for sure is one. He was the only guy that got a game ball against the Seahawks last week, by the way. Marcus Siegel forced into action. Maybe should be out there all the time anyway. He's clearly got the most range. Comes downhill, tackles, range and coverage.
Was it very evident how much better the tackling was in this game? Whether it was on Saquon or quarter, just the tackling. I thought the tackling was really, really good for a majority of this game, and maybe that's what made it to where you don't give up as many points. But golly, like just getting guys down, not a whole lot of leak yardage. We're saying that Saquon did have like 100 yards rushing, but just when they made contact, more times than not, guys were getting down. And I thought that was something that, at the very least, with the naked eye, looked improved.
The other rookie that I think needs to be on the field more is CJ West. He's awesome. He continues to get even better. He's stout against the run. I think he's your starting sort of, nose shade, one technique, whatever it is, going forward for the 49ers. I love seeing him play well. So those 3 rookies. And then, like you said, with the tackling, you wouldn't have even noticed that the 49ers were down to guys they brought in off the street, in Eric Kendrick, who made the last play of the game, and then Garrett Wallow. Like you would think that, that's against Saquon Barkley and that offensive line, Eric Kendrick and Garrett Wallow, who nobody knew who he was 2 weeks ago. They were good. We're not talking about how the linebackers were the undoing of the 49ers in this game. So you got to give a lot of props and game balls to all around on that side of the ball for that reason.
Yeah, game ball to him. Game ball for guys just stepping up, man, when the team was decimated by injuries. Even like the D-line. There was a big moment later in that game where the hole looked like it opened up and you had some defensive linemen retrace and get a sack on Hurts before he can break through the line. If he was able to get through there, he was going to pick up 15 yards or so. So that was terrific. You got the sack there. And then I believe what followed after that was a false start, which backed him up even a little bit more. So again, just the hustle and a lot of guys just playing with maximum effort.
And they figured something out during the game. So it looked like it was going to start really bad for the 49ers. And there was I kind of like the jet sweep tight end run at the goal line for the Goddard first touchdown. Then Goddard had another touchdown in the second quarter where he Mustafa, I don't love the way he played that one, but early in the game, first quarter, it was mirror image. It actually was a mirror image. It was the opposite of the side of the field of last week when Charbonnet ripped off the big run to the left side. And it was Jair Brown who didn't have contain on the edge and came inside and just left it wide open around the outside. And in this one in the first quarter, it was Saquon Barkley, 29-yard run to the right side. Deommodore Lenoir had no contain on the edge. He goes inside and it's just wide open on the outside. But after the Eagles could run the ball early in the game, the 49ers kind of like tightened up on that and fixed some stuff. And especially in the second half, they kept giving the ball back to the 49ers. So you got to credit them for fixing some of the problems. Don't like seeing the same problem happen again this week early, but they were able to get it fixed. And they actually did a pretty good job bottling up Saquon Barkley after he had a lot of room to run initially in that game.
Real quick, I know this is off topic, but you kind of mentioned it earlier with Jauan Jennings being a terrific high school quarterback, where there's highlights of him throwing the ball floating around and 24/7 rankings. Jauan Jennings, coming out of high school, was actually ranked higher than Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Sam Darnold. They're all the same class. He's the fifth best quarterback in that class. Sam Darnold is at 6, Joe Burrow is at 7, Lamar Jackson is at 9. So that just goes to kind of show how talented of a quarterback he was heading over to Tennessee.
Who are the top 4? Do you know?
I do not. They don't have that list.
Okay.
I'm sure I could pull it up, but
yeah, that happens a lot, man. A lot of the top ranked guys disappear in college football. It's crazy how that happens. And I mean, he throws a beautiful ball.
Yeah,
I mean, it's unbelievable. That's a great pass and on the move too. And so maybe that needs to be more of a feature going forward for the 49ers because they got to figure out something if they're going to continue to be as banged up as they are now, losing George Kittle on top of it, which is kind of the bummer to all this for the 49ers and 49ers fans going forward. Did you see the report from Diana Rossini that said it was right about the time that she said she heard it was a torn Achilles for George Kittle, that they went and got a bottle of tequila and they were bringing it into the locker room? So I wonder if George is like, I need something for the pain of not being able to go play football for potentially the next 8 to 12 months. That is a bummer. But a different usage of tequila for 49ers fans, celebrating now after this game instead of burying their sorrows in a bottle of tequila after the 49ers did come out victorious 23-19. Any more game balls before we go, Croc? I think I hit all mine.
No more game balls. Just a terrific win by the 49ers and their coaching staff, and just way to play on the road. Just a lot that can go against you. I think a lot did go against the 49ers in this game, and still somehow they figured out a way to come out with a W. And that's what playoff football is about. I think that's what the games have mostly looked like so far in the NFL playoffs so far. So that's good stuff, man. And that was exciting to see.
Absolutely. Everybody is in every game the rest of the tournament. Just remember that. These playoffs are going to be fun. I have no idea how to handicap the rest of it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Todd says, I'm an everydayer. Just want to thank you both for the time and effort you put in. Ditto for you guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen of the day. And if you have not checked it out, check out the Everydayer Club. Get Locked On 49ers ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedon49ers.supercast.com to join the club, or check the link in the show notes. And Croc and I back tomorrow on to Seattle. Wow. This is going to be really fun the rest of the way. Can the 49ers keep the magic rolling? Tune in here to Locked On 49ers. Talk to you then.